you know, this quad gives me intermittent spark. I could be riding and then spark disappears. Brought it back in here again, charged the battery. This morning I came out here just to fire it up. And it fired right up. Now it doesn't fire up anymore. So it's totally unreliable. Good morning. It's been a couple of days. Every day that I come out here, what I do, I walk over to the switch, I turn it on, and it starts. Then it'll run for about a minute or so, and then it just won't start. It'll lose spark. I don't know why. And then I'll wake up the next morning, I'll come back out here, and it'll start again. Watch. Just walked out here today. Key on. Switch. It's cold. It's 30 degrees. I didn't choke it, but it starts. See? So it has spark. I don't understand it. And it runs good. Now that we got it started, is it the brake switch? It isn't the brake switch because it started without even me touching the brake. And if I wiggle this around, nothing happens. Is it the tether button? I'm going to pull the tether button while it's running. Better. Let's disconnect it. It's disconnected. The tether switch is disconnected. So it runs without the tether. Removed it altogether. Let's see how long it runs before it stalls and won't start back up again. Well, that didn't take long, huh? So I noticed that when I'm trying to throttle, it's like very hesitantly wanting to throttle up, like I'm losing spark already, like it's super intermittent spark, and then it won't start again. So I'm thinking maybe there's a loose wire somewhere, and then the vibration, it's barely making contact to get spark, and then once the vibration moves, it moves out, disconnects, and you won't get spark. But problem is, I know that tomorrow morning when I wake up again and come and try it out, it'll start. So does that magically that contact makes contact again. It doesn't make any sense. Unless it's the ignition coil. I've been watching lots of videos on these quads, and there's a million videos out there that's labeled Chinese quad, no spark. So I guess it's a big problem. Most of the issues was the CDI box. Now, I don't want to keep throwing parts at this, you know what I mean? But they aren't cheap enough that I could. Like a CDI box, it's $8. You know, I could just change the CDI. They also said that the magneto almost never goes out on these. That's like the most reliable part of it. So that's what is kind of mind-boggling. I might take the CDI box apart and see. Looks new though. So oddly enough, out of the extra box of parts that I got, new and used, it doesn't come with another CDI box. So I'm assuming that it's never been changed, which that should be the first thing you change. It does have another magneto, and it looks like it's the old one, right? But inside looks great. Inside the boot. Now the new one, the inside doesn't look good. The inside is all rusty and stuff. And they say that these things almost never break. I mean, the magnetos are the ones that are the most reliable part on these things. So I'm thinking about just switching out the magneto just to see. So there's no difference. Ran a little bit. After it runs for a little while, it just quits. I still just don't understand. So here's the CDI. Looks new. Nothing wrong with it. It's a 5-pin CDI. I'm not really sure what all, I mean, I saw videos and I can't figure it out. This was the reason why I pretty much gave up on the snowmobile project, because it had CDI, pickup, all that stuff, the electronics of it, and I couldn't figure it out, so I sold the engine, and that's why I put the Honda horizontal shaft engine in it, and it, you know, it ran, went around the block a few times, a couple of days, whatever, and then I got tired of it, didn't really like it so much, so I sold it. Same thing with the snowmobile. It's really hard to start because it's a pull start. It doesn't have electric start. So I'm too old to be pulling it like that. It does run, but it's hard to start. But I never cleaned the carburetors on it. So if I clean the carburetors, maybe it'd be easier to start. I don't know. I'm not really into getting that going either. So should I just buy a new CDI box and see what happens? Then there's a rectifier, voltage regulator rectifier. I have no idea what that, if that's working or not either. It assumingly is, because while it was running, we tested the voltage on the battery and it was getting like 14.1 or 14.3 volts. So it is charging the battery, so I don't see any reason why the rectifier doesn't work. So maybe I'll buy another CDI. It's $8. So then I'd be in this thing for 30 something, 32. You also can't open it. See, there's no screws anywhere. You couldn't even open it up and see. So it's still a mystery. I'm kind of determined to get it going, so I might just go buy a new CDI just to see. It's cheap enough for me to try it, you know. If you guys have any experience with this stuff, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Leave a comment below. Let me know what I should try and what I'm doing wrong. I know I should try the ohm settings, but I just don't know enough about it to know exactly what I'm doing. All right, it's been sitting here for half an hour. Why does it sometimes work and sometimes it doesn't? I don't get it. Now it's not going to start. No idea what's wrong. To be continued. So I think I'm gonna go buy a new CDI. It's only $8. Might as well just try it. I like it. That's why I'm willing to put the money in to just get it going. Maybe the CDI is just not reliable enough to get spark. I mean, I don't know the history behind that CDI box. It could have been the original one, could be a new one. I have no idea, but apparently they're very prone to breaking, you know? If there's any water contact or whatever, it just may not be reliable. I might have a loose connection somewhere. I'm kind of happy that we figured out that it can't be the tether, because we removed the tether and it's still running, and it starts without the tether on there. So that's one thing, one safety kill switch that we know has nothing to do with it. I'm kind of concerned as to why the tether doesn't work. I mean, it's a new harness, so shouldn't it work? Anyway, so you don't have to grip the brake to start it. It just starts, you know what I mean? That has something to do with it. I'm almost thinking that if I just wired up the basics, you know, just like bypassing all the safety switches and just doing the basics, you wouldn't have that ignition kill and start button working right. And I don't know enough about this harness to do that, and I'm not going to mess with it. I mean, if worse comes to worse, I might, but the rectifier CDI box, those two boxes are different from any other lawn tractor I've ever had. So those are the only two differences that I'm not familiar with. And starter motor, voltage regulator, magneto ignition coil, that kind of thing is just, I know that stuff. But the CDI box and the rectifier, that all goes into different circuits and stuff like that, and just not so familiar with it, I know some of you guys are familiar with this stuff. What's the problem that I'm having? I am getting spark, but sometimes, you guys saw, sometimes it starts, then when you start driving it a little bit, it just goes away. The spark just disappears, and then I can't start it again. But if I let it sit for a little bit, it'll start again. Watch! It just disappears. Now I see some oil drops on the bottom. So it's just a couple of drops from there, and that's the gasket between the cylinder head and the head, the cylinder block and the head, that little part right there. I don't think that's anything. Didn't happen before, but I wasn't revving it that high before. So, I mean, is it the CDI? Because it does start sometimes. If that was busted, maybe I wouldn't get to start it, right? So, is it that? Leave it in the comments, fellas. I know some of you guys really know this stuff very well. I just don't. So, help me out. Shove me in the right direction. Should I get a new CDI box or not? Ready? Random attempt at starting this thing. I'm telling you, if I haven't touched it in a day, it'll start. Ready? What is going on? What am I going to do with this thing? But I know that the minute I pull this out, after a minute or so, it won't start. I'll lose spark again. I have no idea. If the CDI works, then it works. Is it just a loose connection that when I'm riding it, it'll stop? Watch. I'm not even gonna ride it. I'm just gonna let it run. Let's see how long it runs for before it loses spark on its own and dies. So it'll idle all day if you want. Well, maybe I should try to ride it. That was the longest I've ever ridden it. Well, it was fun while it lasted. Leave it in the comments, guys. What's wrong with it? Thanks a lot for watching the video, guys. We'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.